Hey, Evie, go ahead and give them their card, but don't give them pens. Don't write nothing on them yet.
Okay.
Now I know what this one says because I wrote it, but if you think I can see through the blindfolds, who knows? Maybe I can. But even if I can, I still can't read what's on the card because I can't see without these, unless you're in the back of the room. You write your question on one side of the card, okay? And you want them in large letters, in print. Why large? Not so I can see them, because even now if I take off my glasses, it just looks like a blur. The reason is they're trying to get, I'm trying to get and receive your vibration. Bigger and the bold of the letters, more energy. Okay? And that way I can sift through hopefully everybody in the room and be able to get through the message or the question. One question on the card. Don't ask a question and then you notice you misspelt a word or whatever and then cross it out. Just get another card. Okay? If you cross it out, that's a out of focus energy. It's sporadic, chaotic, I guess you could say, and it throws off the vibration of the question. Please don't write in cursive because that also is a sporadic, wild energy, and it throws off the energy. You want to do it like this in bigger letters. Ask your question. And please do not ask a personal question about somebody else that's not here to defend themselves. Okay? I don't normally do loved ones, only but once a year in a seance, because I believe when you leave the physical life, you're supposed to either move on or plan to come back to resolve whatever issues you need to resolve. And every time a loved one comes through, I get a stomach ache and I feel nauseous, and it's because I'm picking up and feeling their emotion between the two, the living and the one. Well, they're all both living, but you know what I mean. The emotion of that, and that disturbs me. If you want to speak to your loved ones, it's best to go see James Von Prague or John Edward, or every once of a year I'll do a loved one seance. The last one that I did, everybody in the room was crying, and it sounds like, oh, that's great, but not really for me, because I'm picking up the feelings and the emotions on both sides of everybody in the room. And you, my dear, you bring in all kinds of spirits.
Get to be crowded sometimes.
I bet you're not alone at home. So you want to do that, and then on the other side, you want to put a number that's important to you. Again, large numbers. It doesn't have to be as big as the paper, but like this. 63 is the year I was born, so that is meaningful to me. If you write down your child's birthday in numbers, that's okay, because it's you thinking of someone that's very special to you that came through you, and therefore I can still pick up your energy, but also the energy of the person whose birthday that is. At the bottom right corner on the side of the number, and this is not required, but if you want, you can put your initials or your first name. Please don't use your last name, because I don't know you guys. Probably couldn't pronounce some of your last names, but it's just best to just put your first name on there, and if you're going to put anything with your last name, just your first initial. All right? Any questions so far? And you're another quiet group.
Why are we putting the numbers again?
It helps build the energy and it helps me connect to the right vibration. So, because Evie's going to sit here, unless she doesn't want to, and I'm gonna feel, so it's in the basket, and I'm feeling with my fingers the energy of the card, and Lady Nada is helping me pick which card to go next. And which is funny in a way, because if she sees a card that someone didn't follow the instructions, she'll either push it off to the side and not answer the question, or let me get into it to answer the question, or she will answer your question, but she'll pick on you, and so you end up being, embarrassed and stuff. And I already know that she's going to start picking on you for some reason. I don't know why, but that's why. So I will be holding the card. My body will move here and there. I'll go like this or whatever, trying to hear and see, because I'm not actually seeing the words. I'm feeling the words. All right. And sometimes I can even do it to the point to where I can actually tell you what the question is. I try not to focus on that part of it, but I'll go like this. I'll say 63, and then I'll turn it like this, and so she can see whether it's a 63 or not. Then, by the way, you're going to move here.
Yeah, okay.
She'll say yes, and then I'll know I'm on the right track, and then I'll focus up here. No, you're too. There we go. I just know she's never going to host me again.
I love you too.
I need to come here when I can actually use your pool.
That's right, summer.
What's summer? My winter.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions? Yes.
Can a question have two parts?
That's still two questions. It's like, let's say, my mother and my father are both sick. Is my mother going to be okay? And then it says, oh, and will my father be okay? That's two questions. You want to just go through the one question, and hopefully you will be able to receive the other part of the question, because they actually already know what you're going to ask.
Mm-hmm.
But to which limit and detail will determine on me and the energies and stuff I see. They don't always tell me what it is. They want to see if I can do it first, and they, meaning Saint Germain and Lady Nada. And then if I'm having a little difficulty because I'm not picking up the energy right, then they intervene, or not. Just depends on what the circumstances are. Any other questions? I'm waiting for you to bust out.
Do you have any ideas or questions for people, like guideline questions?
Yeah, if you don't, I don't know if I want to say this. Because I had a whole room ask the same question because I said this. I don't want you to do that, okay? But if you really honestly just don't have a question or can't think of one, just ask, what does Spirit want me to know today? That's all you gotta do. But I don't wanna get in there and have, 20 of you have that same question. All right? And if you don't use the pens that I hand out, and you change it to another pen with a different color, I'm gonna know that too, because black has a different signature energy than red. If you throw a card in there that doesn't have a question at all on it, just to see if I can pick that up, I can. But there's two reasons why. One is there's no energy in the card. Number two, when you write on the card, you can feel a little bit that there's something on the card. It's not Braille, because it's not done that way where I could read it that way, and I don't know how to read Braille anyway. But there's enough of an indentation on the words, because you got stuff on both sides, that when I'm feeling it, you can kind of tell there's something on there. But you also can tell there's nothing on there, because it'll just be smooth. Alright? So someone's gonna reach in and grab a pen, a pokey pen, and they're gonna go like this. I'll fool him somehow. You know? Paper is made of wood. Wood is a biological element. And there's one more part to the wood. Anyone want to answer what that is? It has consciousness. It's a living, breathing entity. So that's why I use paper instead of plastic. Because they do have these in plastic. And you can write on them. It's just basically just keeping your faculties, focusing on your surroundings, the vibration of everybody in the room. Like right now, I'm looking and reading everybody just to see, you know, if I need to tell someone to leave. Like you, I'm kidding.
It wasn't me.
Just because there might be a little bit of a trick to certain things in life, that doesn't mean that makes that situation that you're doing not real. Actually, I thought maybe it was the angels coming down. So this is what you want to do, the bold stuff like that. Okay? Let me have the coins, please. We don't need to do that for this. Only when I'm going to go into trance. Because then I'm vulnerable. On this tape, you'll see 2 silver dollars. The silver dollars are apported through me, and there's no cameras, I don't have someone out in the trunk, out in the car, giving me messages through some microphone or something in there. It's just regular silver dollars, and the person that I picked to come up here to put them on my eyes, like that, will, you can see that they're real silver dollars with no tricks on them, okay? And I'm actually going to choose you to come up here to do this in just a minute. You want to hold this? Can I see the other two? Once you put that on, you're going to put this on. Like I said earlier, I'm a little bit of an extremist, and I like to go the whole 10 yards. You want to put this over the coins like this and tie it to my head.
I have nails, I don't know how to do that.
Well, my daughter has longer nails than you, and she can do it. And if one of them pops off, I'll keep it as a souvenir. And you want to do it with the flap on the inner side with this thing sitting up, because if you don't, it's going to fall down. Once you, but before, actually I was wrong. Before you put this on, you put this on. Okay? You're going to put this on like that. Okay? So I have coins, duct tape, and a sleepy time blindfold. And then you're going to put this over that like this. And then you're going to look up underneath and around and stuff and see if you think I can see anything. Okay? Now I can breathe. Now, I do the billet reading in preparation for what my spirit team is doing behind me. And that's preparing the vortex. Instrumentally, that is one reason why this cabinet is there. If my friend Sam was here, he'd explain what happens to you if you look in the cabinet too soon. A number of years ago, he was helping me, and it was taking over an hour for me to come out, so he got nervous. It shouldn't usually take any more than 3 minutes to 45 minutes for me to come out of here as they're opening up the vortex and connecting the energy. And the vortex goes up to about here, which is why in a seance, you want to remove your jewelry that you have from here down. So he crawls up and he takes the corner of the cabinet and he looks up in there, whack! The vortex came. You remember seeing where my head was supposed to be, wasn't there. And it was there, it just, he didn't see it because of the energy that was going like that. He had to be carried to his car, and someone that lived nearby where he lived drove him home, and for 2 weeks he wasn't able to even go to work, laying flat on his back in his bed. And it was he had a coffee hot dog stand at a place called a Fred Meyer's store, and he said, I'll never do that again. You have to recognize that there's a lot going on. It's not just some chubby guy sitting in a cabinet waiting for something to happen. There's energies that are occurring, there's manifestations that are occurring, and my body is being put in the middle of 2 dimensions, which isn't compatible to the physical body. So you're kind of torn apart a little bit, okay? And that is why I've learned to astral project myself out of my body enough to where I don't feel that, because it doesn't feel very good. And that's only for the part to do the apportation. When I come out of the cabinet, you don't, these 2 are going to be coming up here, and I'm going to grab them, and if I need to, pull myself up, because I'm not 100% in my body when I start to do the apportation. But they're not allowed to touch me. I have to touch them. If you or anyone touches me within 10 minutes of coming out of the cabinet, it's going to feel like someone putting a cattle prod on your skin and burning it, because you become very, very, very sensitive. Not for the billet reading, just for this part of it. All right? When they start coming through, I've been accused of being the regurgitator. I'm not regurgitating, and if you go talk to a gastro doctor, they will tell you that you really can't. But just recently, there was a lot of stuff going over the airwaves that I'm regurgitating. So Saint Germain, without telling me he was going to do this, which is unusual because they usually ask the permission of the vehicle, you know, but they know that I worry about stuff all the time. So he didn't want to worry me, so he didn't say anything. But I apported with Saint Germain's help a 2171 carat yellow topaz. And if you want to see it, you look for the Healing Brew online in Akron, Ohio, in the USA. And they have it in a glass case. It was given to them. And there's absolutely no way you're going to be able to swallow it. There's no way you're going to be able to bring it back up if you do. And it doesn't fit in the cavity of the mouth. I chipped this tooth as it was coming out. A lesser one that was 1400 carats, which is on a video on YouTube. I actually dislocated this side of my jaw and lost this tooth. It shattered because when the light hits the ectoplasm, which is holding the vortex open, it starts to close. Well, if there's something in there bigger than the cavity of the mouth, or a lot of objects, something has to give. Well, what do you think is going to give first? So it starts, you can hear the crackling and the breaking. And when I'm in there, when it first starts, when the vortex opens, you'll hear a crackling noise because it's my teeth and bones separating. Now keep in mind, it's all energy. Okay, nothing's getting broken unless things start to close and you get more of the physical connection to it. You, in the first 2 rows, if you have a weak stomach, you might not want to sit there. But, so, when this is occurring, all I want you to do, I don't want you to feel bad, scared, sick to your stomach. Just direct love to me, please. It helps. When I first started doing the dark apportations, I didn't really know it was happening. But when I started training for doing the lighted apportation, there was a lot of pain attached to it. Today, not so much, because I've learned to step out of the way, partly, and also it kind of feels like Jesus is holding me and protecting me. It's a very emotional moment for me. So remember all these things. Do you have any questions so far? Wow. I think they just want me to shut up and get going.
It's all very valuable.
Now, I do give the objects away. It's not about the monetary value, because I know, because I did it, I've apported with the help of the masters objects that were worth an excess of $500,000, like a blue diamond, which was appraised at $250,000. There was a yeah, I got this scar right here. I was chained, shackled, tied to a chair, and that night I apported 1,996 objects at once. And because they lost the keys to the locks, they couldn't find them. It took a long time, and I got these apports about ready to come out, and I'm trying to hold them. I couldn't hold it anymore, and I didn't have the tape on, and this 20-carat amethyst stone flew across the room like a bullet and hit this lady right here in her forehead, and it started to drip blood down into her eyes. The lucky thing is she was a trooper about the whole thing, and the masters gave her the only gold coin that came through. It was a 1 ounce Mexican gold coin that dated back to the 1800s from Mexico. And so it was like, I always say, well, that was the masters bribing her not to sue me. So sometimes they bring through coins, and usually the message behind those coins is to invest in precious metals. Did you bring the 5 I gave you? No. You don't have them on you? Did you bring them tomorrow? Yeah. While I was in the States, not all at the same time, because sometimes I'm just sitting there drinking a Coke, watching TV, and all of a sudden something comes out. Every single one of the coins that I gave him came out of the forehead area. And if you look closely, you can see some scarring. There's normally no mark after a few minutes, but the constant doing it eventually weakens that area, and you get marks. But tonight you might get a bowling ball sized crystal that falls out of my solar plexus. All this stuff is possible. It's hard to believe until you actually see it. The majority of the time it's gemstones. Why? Because they can program the crystal with information and knowledge, plus also energy for healing. They even can do vibrations that can help stimulate your mind, prevent certain health issues as you get older. Like if you receive a yellow gemstone, it's usually from Katumi, and that protects you from Alzheimer's and dementia. In Basel, Switzerland, there was a lady who they almost didn't let her in. Her daughter wanted her to come in, and it was a healing seance. And I said, yeah, go ahead and bring her in. Well, when the names were being pulled out of the basket, because not everybody in the room, you got 80 people there, you're going to be there till 4 in the morning. And her name didn't get pulled out. Well, during the seance, when I was still in trance, when everybody was done, I call him Master J, so if I say Master J, I mean Master Jesus. He said to the room to let so-and-so come up, and he worked on her, and went back to her chair, and then afterwards I did an apportation, and she received a topaz that was yellow. It was a lemon yellow topaz. And within minutes of receiving the stone and the healing, she started acting like she did when she was 20 years younger. And that was back in 2016 or 17. And she still sends me emails saying that she's okay, but she's now in her 90s. But she's not as spry as she used to be. But I'm not claiming I did anything, because I didn't, and neither did Jesus or Katumi. What they would say to you is, the individual believed in you to the point of where they trusted their own self in belief that they could heal themselves. It's all within inner connection to the heart and stuff. Healers are vehicles, but not the one that's actually healing you. I'm writing a book about Jesus' life, and one of the quotes that he told me in his spirit body was, he never healed anybody. It was only his vibration and their trust in him and the love that he gave that gave them the strength to heal themselves. You're the one that caused the problem, so you must be the one to be able to heal. When I'm doing the billet reading, I might not be able to get to everybody, because when Saint Germain taps me on the shoulder and says, it's time, then I have to stop and get in the cabinet. Otherwise, we're going to have a mess, and you two ladies won't like it. So I go in there and get ready to do that thing. What I will do while we're waiting, I have to hurry though, but we take off the blindfold, and I will pick individually the rest of the cards, if there's any left, and read it, and then hopefully come up with an answer for you. But I will try to do as many as I can, and while blindfolded. But when it's time to start doing the apportation, I have to get in there and start doing that. And now you can hand out the pins. Well, while you guys are doing that, do you have anything to ask about the process, about tonight? Anyone?
You probably all got your question ready now.
Well, I don't mean the question you're going to ask on the card. Just, you could ask, how old was I when I first started doing this? Or, whatever. 4. Not apporting, but I started working in the cabinet at the age of 4, being trained by a gentleman by the name of Reverend Keith Milton Reinhardt. 4. I didn't apport till the first time till I was 7, and it was just one object. And then I never apported again until 1993. You did that very well. She already knows she's doomed. Which basket are you using? Please don't tell me you didn't bring a basket. Okay. She's messing with my head. I tried to get my, trying to get my cabinet, onto the plane, and the TSA guys are asking me, what's in there? What is that? Inside the light of them. I told them, I didn't wanna tell them that I was a physical medium, cause I didn't have enough time to explain all that. So I just said, it's a changing tent, I'm going camping in Australia.
Yep.
Yeah, I did, that's why I brought it. I didn't like that. I call it the potty tent. Gary Mannion loves using it, I just don't. That poor guy, he goes through a lot of scrutiny. So yeah, I was 4 years old. It's kind of like in Asia, they start training you to do martial arts at the age of 4.
Did you know you were gifted before that?
Yeah, I had a clue. I mean, there was a prophecy before I was born about me. And then just before I turned 7 years old, things went kind of awry for me, and I ended up in the custody of my mother, which was a big mistake. And cause she hated me. She didn't want nothing to do with me. And so I went through a 20-year period that I call my dark ages, because everything the masters told me I would be doing in that period of time, I wasn't doing. So I had this feeling that I was abandoned for some reason by the masters and everything, but I'm much, wait, don't. Hold the words towards your heart and hold it with your left hand, just for.
Well, that being watched. You do a great job.
Okay, now come around the front and look in there and see if you think I can see and all that.
How many fingers am I holding up?
3?
One. Yeah, all good.
1, 2, 9. You got all the things?
Yep.
Box?
Yep. Knock the lid off.
Yeah.
Testing.
Thank you, take it off each one.
Testing.
So, you're going to do an opening prayer.
Now. We command the white fire and the violet flame to surround and protect this room now. And you can go with me. We command the white fire and the violet flame to surround and protect this room now. We command the white fire and the violet flame to surround and protect this room now. And it is so be it. We surround ourselves with the holy divine white Christ light of the great white brotherhood, and ask that none shall manifest unto us except that of the highest, the truest, and the best. We ask this in the name of Jesus the Christ. Amen. Amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us out of the darkness and into the light. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
222.
222,
Yeah, 222, is that it?
correct?
What?
It's all right.
I just need to know if it's spirit talking to me or someone
No.
else. That's okay. You won't get in trouble. Okay, so it's probably frustrating because you may not be developing as much results as you'd hoped by now. But remember and never forget that you are very talented and have spiritual gifts on more than just one level. So all the work you're doing is not for naught. That yes, the answer is you will be working, you will be helping others, and also in doing so, you will find the answers to some of your own self stuff, issues. And then I hand you the card and you read the question out loud.
With all the trance development I'm doing, will I do this spirit work to help heal or comfort those who are grieving?
What?
There's a cough.
I didn't hear the question.
That was the question.
We didn't hear it.
I didn't hear it. I'll read it again. With all the trance development I'm doing, will I do this spirit work to help heal or comfort those who are grieving?
I just wanted to make sure I was on the right track. 54?
54, yes.
The first question or answer is, are you even ready to buy a new house? Are you ready to do it? The next question or the answer, I believe you're asking where, and I'm being told northern direction.
Where will I buy my next home?
Uh-oh. This one didn't follow instructions. 223?
223, yes.
With a big, loud, and your lucky Lady Nada's not picking on you right now, yes, you will.
Is there a specific reason I was born with 6 wisdom teeth?
I don't know why they said you will, but the answer is yes. It's to experience pain. No, I'm kidding. 24707.
Correct?
Would you go give this person a big, big, giant spanking?
I don't know who it is.
No, you tell me. Are the words really small?
Don't too small. Quite small.
Is there a heart on it?
Yes, there's a heart on it.
Yes. Since it was small, there's no commentary, just yes.
Am I in alignment with my soul?
Everybody is. Five?
5, yes.
Man, did you guys not hear my instructions? It just makes it a little harder to do it, but energy is energy. Oh. The first thing is to live free. Not to allow yourself to be connected or connected to the inertia of life, the negativity, and flowing in a peaceful vibration of love and intimate love. Relative to what you will do, they're telling me the first thing you want to do is read The Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East by Beard T. Spalding, and you will begin to work with Master Emil, who is in that book, E-M-I-L, and you have the capacity of being a very well-known physical medium, but also a mental medium as well.
What is my purpose in this lifetime?
You did it again. Is it my language? Is it not? 8?
8, yes.
What? Can I see who you are? Yeah. They didn't say who, they just asked, can I see it? Is that what they asked?
Yeah, can you see who I am?
That person has a lot of energy. I'm supposed to say an angel to you on that last one. These are those weird numbers. 369.
369, yes.
Practicing, training, practicing, doing, and the best way to learn something is to teach it.
How do I access my psychic gifts? 6.
Yes. Definitely.
Will I do any spiritual work in the future in this life?
Zero, one.
Yeah, 0, 1.
I don't know why she's not picking on these people. That's unusual. I mean, these are like really, they're all small letters. In the heart.
Where do my strengths lie in relation to mediumship?
I'm supposed to ask this person, they can speak up. Do you understand the answer?
Not really.
Okay. Your mediumship is strength is in the same place that mine is, and not everyone that's a medium has it in that area. But the heart is one of the, and I don't mean the heart that beats the blood. It's the heart mind, the higher consciousness. Do you understand that so far?
Yeah.
You connect to that, then that will give you the strength and the knowledge to access certain cellular memories that will help you develop. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Thank you. Ooh, 1970?
Correct. 1970.
To create light around people's lives.
What is my main lesson I am here to learn in this lifetime?
Well, that's a beautiful question. 963?
963, correct?
Love.
What brings joy to an ascended master?
4747?
47, correct?
Very good, yes.
Will I stay in Australia for work and to live?
10?
10, correct?
That's another yes.
Will I meet my soul partner in this lifetime?
Uh, 11?
11, yes.
training, it's not about what you're going to do, it's about allowing yourself to just follow the higher consciousness and just, it's kind of like a leaf floating down a creek bed, just going with the current. Just allow life to take you to the directions without fighting the current.
What should I focus on in my spiritual path?
Yes. $26,658.
Nearly. 24,658.
Bummer.
Look like a 6.
Is that yours? Yes. Okay, I'm being told just one more.
Will I live outside of Australia?
Come on, guys. Show me which one you want. $25.
25.
Your future is connected to taking charge, resolution, letting go, and becoming a strength and a connection to the angelic realm.
What do you see about my future?
Hold that, please.
Mhm.
Where's that lady? If you would come here, please. And look and make sure I'm not seeing anything still.
No.
Was she flipping me off? Yes, please. This gentleman, I keep wanting to pick you, but, and you, and you. No, you already got chosen or something. How about the lady behind you? Come up here and look around, in, on, under the cabinet, make sure I have nothing hidden in there and not around it and stuff. So the lights will stay on, so you'll see that nobody's handed me anything. If there's a cushion in the chair, make sure that there's around it, in it. And this is the only time I give permission for people to go in there with their shoes on. They're not in disrespect. I'm asking them to go in and check out. And some people have shoes on. It's kind of hard to get back on again. You sure? Did you look Did you look in the cushions to make sure there was nothing hidden in the cushions?
No, I didn't.
She'll do it.
Where's the trust, guys?
Huh?
Where's the trust?
Well, it's not about that. You know, you don't really want to have to go down the rabbit hole and follow somebody. You know, Alice didn't have a very good time, so, you know, there was a gentleman, and I say that word loosely, in Sedona, Arizona, who owns the Pink Jeep Tours. Anybody been to Sedona, Arizona?
No.
You remember the Pink Jeep Tours? Well, he was also a guru of sorts, and he gave 20 people a sweat in a sweat lodge out in the desert, and a bunch of people died, and he went to prison for it. He's since been released because it wasn't on purpose, but in order to be involved with his organization, you had to give him all of your earthly wealth and property. Which means what? Was it for the right intentions? And karma got back at him. I mean, anyone with any kind of common sense would know not to put someone 3 to 4 to 500 pounds in a sweat lodge without water, and and he did. And I know he didn't intend on killing anybody, but you have to be careful on who you believe in and the things that they say. And that is why the masters will never say to you, you have to do something. You have your own free will. It was given to you for a purpose. And all they will do is suggest and give you ideas and hopefully stimulate your thought to create your own free will. So I let people look in there, I already know that where proof is needed, no proof will suffice, and where proof is not needed, no proof is necessary. But it's still kind of interesting to be able to go in, search me and search the cabinet and everything, and in that way, when things do happen, it even blows your mind even more. How in the hell did he do that? They used to call me the regurgitator. A little 5-year-old girl a few years ago renamed me. Guess what she renamed me? The Gym Fairy. I like that one a little bit better. Okay.
Will be instructed on when to come with the sheets?
Yes. Where's that tape?
The tape.
Yeah, I don't think these two ladies want to. Hmm? Mm-hmm. Mm-mm. No.
Okay. Okay, everybody, nice loud voice.
Okay. And you didn't even have to put a quarter in the machine. I don't know. How many are there? I've had 73 come through. There is a red thread cord energy that comes out of the objects that goes into the heart chakra of the individual that the objects are for. Past midnight, you want these objects on your person. Don't put it under your pillow. You women, you can just stuff them in your bra. If you wear a bra to bed. If you're alone in bed, you can put it within a 3-foot perimeter where you're sleeping. But if you're sleeping with somebody in bed with you, and I don't mean your animals, you want to have it on your person, because at 1 minute past midnight, the energy of the objects will intermingle with your vibration and energy, and therefore truly becomes yours. Okay? Tonight, it didn't happen, but sometimes you get objects to be given to somebody else. And if you're coming to any more of my events, I think tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. And you get an object that's for somebody else, you just put it away until you give it to that person. If you make any jewelry out of any of these, only use white metals. Like, for instance, you could use nickel, you could use silver, platinum, or white gold. The reason is, if you use yellow gold, there's copper in it, and that changes the programming and the energy of the objects. If you use the white metals, it leaves it alone. Okay? In fact, it actually enhances the programming within. All right?
Until a minute past midnight, and then till the next morning, till the morning when you wake up.
Well, even at 2 minutes past, you can put it away.
Oh.
It's just you want that 1 minute past, because it changes the concept of the day. It's a new day, right? The other part, who has cats? Raise your hand. Now, they probably won't do it with the coin, but if you receive the gemstone, you want to make sure your cat doesn't get near it, because they're very spiritual, cats are, and they can see the other side. So they see the energy that's coming from the object, and you heard the curiosity kills the cat, right? Always remember, though, satisfaction brings them back. They will see the energy and they'll go over to it and they'll start licking it. Well, they have that tongue that's kind of sticky, so they end up swallowing it. And believe me, they will. And if it's an outside cat, you're probably not going to get it back. If it's an indoor cat, you can get my drift. If you lose it or it disappears within 6 weeks, you'll probably get it back. If not, that means the energy and the programming that's within it absorbed into your body and spirit felt it wasn't necessary for you to even have the object. Because we don't need things to believe and to create and to do other than yourself. So it might go away because of that. If for some reason it disappears after the 6 weeks, it's either your cat ate it, someone stole it, or you lost it.
Yeah, that's.
And my cat, I had a cat named Zachary, and he swallowed 3 of my apports. But I got him back. He was an inside cat. I made my daughter fish it out. She was one of those little scoopers. What else should you know?
What do you suggest we do with the coin?
Well, there's a number of things you can do with the coin. You could put it away somewhere safe. Meditate with it. Hold it in your left hand into your heart. The reason why the left hand is that's the feminine side, and the feminine side, I'm sorry to say, is the more stronger and powerful side. Saint Germain has said, Son of Kumara has said, if he was to move the women of the earth and put them on Venus, and the men and put them on Mars, I think there's a book.
Yeah, men.
The men would eventually die off.
Yeah.
The women would figure out a way to continue life. The reason why they're stronger is like if you take an apple and you want to cut it with your hand and try to get both sides the same exact size, you're never going to be able to do that, no matter how many times you try. There's always a bigger side of the duality. And the bigger side is actually the feminine side. Why? Because God, the creation, gave the women the power of creation. And that doesn't, and you men, and you women, you don't actually need a man to create that. So, but it's fun to create that. So anyway, the other is you could wrap it in silver and make a pendant. Please don't do the belt buckle thing. That's just a Southern cowboy Texas thing. Yeah. You know how what Texans do when they get pulled over and they're asked for their ID?
Put a coin in their mouth.
No.
No?
They take their belt buckle off and said, "See, my name's John. There's my ID." There was a comedian that Jeff Foxworthy who did that joke. He was funnier about it. But you can make a pendant. Maybe put little what they call melee, but it's small teeny diamonds. You put it around it, and then have it set in silver. It's better to use platinum because it's a harder metal, and with silver that sometimes it gets loose and then you lose the coin. But with platinum, it actually costs more than you would think because it's a very hard metal and it's hard to work with. Okay? Or you can use white gold, which has an element of nickel in it, or you can even use nickel, but seems it's silver. It's best to just use silver and then wear it around your neck when you need it, meditation and things like that. Anyone have any other questions?
Can I just ask, so how do you recover from a session like this?
You want me to be 100% truthful?
Yeah.
One is 2 4-ounce glasses of wine, red wine. There's a chemical in the red wine that allows my body to relax and to decompress. The other is I like to watch movies on TV or at the theater, but theaters aren't open right now, I guess. I don't know how late it is, but and I can unwind doing that. The third thing is playing poker. After what you just saw in the beginning, Anyone want to play poker with me?
Yes, I'll play. Texas Hold'em.
Yes, I'm actually quite good at it.
We'll see about that.
I was in the World Poker thing,
Oh yes.
and I missed getting the money table by one person. And believe it or not, it was an Asian that beat me. And the reason is you can't read those guys. It doesn't matter if they have a good hand, bad hand, or no hand. Their energy and their emotion and their vibration stays exactly the same. So you can't read them.
That's it.
And I'm not allowed to use my gift to see the cards. Otherwise, the masters give me a spanking. And so I do that. The fourth and final one is a little bit personal, and I won't be able to do that while I'm here because my wife isn't home. And I think you understand what I mean there. So those are the four things that I do to unwind. Like right now, my face feels like a million needles are being poked in there. I'm actually kind of wore out, and it'll take approximately 30 minutes to an hour for me to get to relative normal. Anyone else?
And I'm just curious about portals in general.
Uh-huh.
So these things, I'm guessing, are coming from another time, another place. So there must be a portal somewhere that gets them to you.
Yes.
Also, the person who you said who was lying there on the sheep's buffalo skin and then came out to the door later on, I'm guessing again there was a portal somewhere that took him out there and brought him back there or something.
Yes.
So I'm just curious if you have any words about portals.
Yes, this creates a portal,
Oh,
okay? So there's always going to be a portal here, in this spot, all right? People won't disappear, I don't think, but people will appear either from spirit, other worlds, other dimensions, and because you do a prayer of protection and you're honoring love and light and healing, only thing that can come through it is positive energies from the light. Okay? There are portals and vortexes all over the world and the cosmos. We've heard of wormholes and even the black holes. Those are portals. Okay? The Saint Germain is in Shambhala, which is up in the Himalayan mountains.
Nepal. Somewhere
Above
there.
that.
Yes. Oh, right.
You go to Nepal and you hire Sherpas to take you up. And whether you get in or not, that's another story. But if you read the life and teachings of the Masters of the Far East, it's about an expedition that did get invited into Shambhala. And it is a physical and interdimensional structure designed by Sanat Kumara. So he has a table in Shambhala that at first glance it looks like a physical hard table, and it has kind of like a bowl carved into the table. And he takes the objects that he's going to bring through and puts them in that little hole so they won't roll off or whatever. Now Saint Germain kept his physical body when he ascended. So he opened up his heart chakra, and a silver energy will come out, and he wills it in onto the objects that he's going to bring through. At that point, the objects go from their solid appearance to their true structure, and that's energy in motion. Everything is energy. There is no solid objects. All right? He wills that into a vortex or a portal of sorts, and there is no direction to it. Because in order for there to be a direction, there has to be space and time. Well, there is no space and time. So the origin and the destination become one. All right? So he wills it into the vortex, which looks like Mercury moving in a counterclockwise direction. The energy of the objects goes into the portal and immediately comes out in wherever on the body that they're going to do it. Not too long ago, And I know some of you are gonna cringe and not believe this, but I apported a teddy bear hamster out of my chest and a corn snake out of my mouth at the same time. I actually have a video of it. You've seen it, haven't you? Yeah, you want to see it. The hamster just wanted to get away. The snake was scared, and I took on that fear, and for 2 weeks I was sick and didn't feel well. And there was a specific reason why they did this, but I told them afterwards, I don't want to do this anymore. No more live things, you know. But wherever that vortex opens is where they come out. And if you notice on your objects, there's no bile, there's no, it's because it doesn't really touch me. And the fluid that you guys saw wasn't saliva, it was ectoplasm as it's dissipating back to the ethereal world. So, because it's an energy that can be reused. Once it comes through, it turns into a gas. And nobody ever sees that. There's no taste to it. You don't even know it's happening, even for myself. And then it turns into a fluid, and you feel the fluid that that some of you saw. And then it starts to, the energies as it comes out will start to solidify as it's coming out into the cloth. Sometimes it starts to solidify in the mouth. That's the part where I end up chipping teeth and dislocating or breaking my jaw or losing a tooth. I've lost this tooth back here, this tooth. The top ones here have a lot of chips on them. Over here, the same thing. I have a crack in this tooth here. And I used to have straight teeth. If you notice, they're a little crooked. My jaw's a little crooked. Why? Because of the breakage of the jaw too many times. And then I have that back tooth that's missing, so it collapses. Once it turns into the physical, the vortex or the portal has closed. The light has a negative effect on the ectoplasm, which is holding the vortex open, or at least it allows you to see it or to have something come through. And it's also energy moving. Once it comes into this realm, it's a clockwise direction. And then it solidifies, and then the programming and the energy that was put in it starts to balance itself out. And I always suggest that you lay flat in a comfortable position, put your objects on your third eye, your throat chakra, your heart chakra, and your solar plexus, if you have enough to do that, or hold them with your left hand and put them on your heart chakra, and just go into a meditation. And it's very healing. You receive messages, direction to consider to take, and it's usually your higher self that's giving you that information that you're connecting into. It's like plugging your radio into the electricity.
Can we allow others to touch it or meditate with it?
That's up to you.
Okay.
Not if someone comes over to your house and just goes to your object and picks it up, that's disrespectful. And if it's a gemstone, you want to have a cotton cloth or a stone cloth, because you don't want the oils of the person to get onto the object, because it dulls the shine and the energy to it as well. Plus they're sucking in the energy. It replaces itself in 72 days. In 72 days you want to recharge it. And how you do that, for 72 hours, you get a glass, you pour white vinegar in the glass, you put the objects down into the glass, then you put it on a windowsill or somewhere where the sun and the moon light will hit it, and then you put baking soda in, just a spoonful of baking soda in the white vinegar. Make sure you do it over the sink because it's going to spurt up. And then you set it there and let the sunlight come in and the moonlight come in for 72 hours, and then you take it out, you wipe it off, And not only is it all cleansed and everything, it's very shiny, very pretty. So those women of you that have wedding rings and rings and what's that ring you get when they ask you to marry them? Engagement ring. And you just wipe it off and everything, and it looks like it's brand new, including the metal that it's wrapped in. So, did that answer your question?
Perfect. Thank you.
What happens if you get it made into a piece of jewellery and they've got to touch it to make it?
That's a different situation. You're giving them permission to do that. It's when they come in to your house and just grab your stuff, you know, because they think it looks neat, or where'd you get that? You know, you don't really want them to do that. And if you give them permission, you want to make sure you have a pair of cotton gloves or a cloth that's made out of cotton. No synthetics, and nothing with color in it. You want it white, just plain clear. Anyone else?
What happened to the snake that he
Well, it's interesting you ask about the snake and not the hamster.
Well, you said the hamster ran away.
No, he wanted to get away,
Oh,
and he
he wanted to
did.
get
He
away?
scared the crap out of the women that were in the front row. But the guy that was helping me caught him, and Saint Germain did tell me he was going to do the hamster, so we had a cage, a glass for him, and it was going to be given to my friend's son, because he'd been wanting a hamster, and his mom kept saying no, so the master said yes. But the snake, once he was captured or got, he was put in there with him, and he was too small to eat the hamster. He was only 12 inches long. You really don't want to see the video. I didn't post it because I was worried that the animal activists and stuff were going to come after me, and they weren't harmed in any way. But 2 weeks later, the snake disappears. And there was no way he could have got out of his cage. So I think he was taken back. He wasn't happy with his situation.
But what about the hamster?
The hamster went to a kid named Armand. He's half Italian and half Eastern Indian, Punjabi. And he didn't want to take care of it. He did for the first week, and then after that he didn't want to feed it and clean the cage and all that. So now my grandkids have it.
Oh, so it's still alive.
Yeah, wasn't that long ago.
Oh, okay.
4 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
Yep, he eats himself silly, and he's fat now. And every night he runs at 9 o'clock at night. He runs in his little thing, and it pisses his dad off, my grandson's dad, because the wheel goes right at 9 o'clock, and he can't deal with it, and he keeps threatening to get rid of it, but he never does. And then on the weekends he goes to watch his TV programs. And it just drives him nuts. And he's put oil on it. He sprayed it with stuff, and it still does that. And I said, dude, buy a new wheel. And he did. And it still went.
Poor guy's making the noise.
Yeah. I said, well, get a third one, 3 times the charm. So he didn't.
Are any of your kids following this path?
They're not following it. My youngest wants to. The very first time I put her in one of these cabinets, it was actually this cabinet, not only does she have voice communication and the trumpet flying all over the room and up at the top of a 20-foot ceiling, she also apported. And a spirit materialized and illuminated himself and went around the room shaking people's hands. So she goes, Dad, you got to train me. No. Because I don't really want her to go through what I've gone through. It's not all fun. And she wants to be a brain surgeon and a neurosurgeon. And I think that she got accepted in college just a month ago. Now we just gotta figure out how to pay for it. But, and I got 2 kids just now going, my 2 youngest, to college. One wants to be an attorney, a defense attorney, and the other one wants to be a brain surgeon, the youngest. So you guys focus, or she focus on, her name is Rosie Bell. You focus on that, leave this alone. This is where it ends with me, you know. Because really, if you want to know the deeper issues, I've gone through hell doing this work. But on the underside of that coin, I've also been through heaven. You know, I wouldn't change a thing. Well, I'd change a couple of things, but nothing to do with this. So, it's been fun, it's been real, but not real fun. Anyone else?
I just want to say thank you so much for your work.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate, and I think I spoke for everyone here.
Thank
It's
you.
a gift. Thank
You're welcome,
you.
thank you. And then you had a question?
It's just about the process of what you're doing. So Saint Germain's one of your guides, is that right? Excuse me.
He's one of my master teachers, and he helps me with the manifestation of objects.
Okay, so just from your journey from 4-year-old until now, because your mate there was, I was watching him, he was so worried about you when you were in there. I said to him before, "Are you okay?" Because he looked like he was. But how did just the process, and you know, with your God, how did you just have the belief that you were going to do it even if it was going to harm you? Is that just trust and faith? You know, it's harming your body, but you're still doing it.
Well, I knew I was going to do it because in 1959, when my mother was 15 years old, she went to a seance at the spiritualist church that I was kind of raised in, and she was given a prophecy of my birth. And during a red light seance, Jesus materialized. He doesn't look anything like that picture up there on the wall, and told her about me, and that I would be born July 4th, 1963 at 11:59 a.m., and that I would have similar gifts and different gifts as the medium that was in that cabinet at the time, who was Keith Reinhardt. And I ended up being born July 2nd, 1963 at 11:59 a.m. It's pretty good, huh? But Jesus said that I would have this gift, and I was going to be utilizing it my entire life. But then there's still that, you know, choice of free will, and that the medium was told to stay out of politics, out of the politics. And he was gay, and back in the 60s, being gay was illegal in the United States. I don't know about here. And he went to what they'd call a gay bar after his events to unwind. Well, the police came with their paddy wagons and billiard clubs and stuff, and started beating people up. And the guy I thought was my father until 3 years ago, and another guy got him out the back door and home, and he and some of his friends were put in a hospital by the police in Seattle. And so he retaliated and used his gifts and his money and found corruption in the police department all the way up to the mayor's office. And then the paper did an article about it, which he rubbed the wrong people. And so one night he got arrested for having sex with a minor. Well, he never really had sex with the minor. And later on, after a year and a half of being in prison, because he was sentenced to 10 years, they went and people that were close to Reinhardt went and found the kid that testified against him, and he agreed to testify again and tell the truth. Where the flaw was in what the police and the mayor did was they didn't expect this guy to open up a bank account, so he put the $10,000 that they paid him to testify against him in the bank. And they did that investigation, and when it was deposited, it was right around it was actually the next day after he got arrested. And so they put two and two together and came up with he's innocent. And that changed everything. While he was in jail, I was removed from the safety of the church. They considered me an avatar, although I don't believe I am. And I was treated, I was a little brat, you know, like she was. And believe me, it's really easy to take advantage of that bratness and spoiledness. And I was raised that way by members of the church, and then at the age of 2, my grandparents took me in, and then who was Keith Reinhardt's right-hand person and helped him run the church and organize his events and stuff. But I ended up in the custody of my mother at the age of 7, and she hated me, and she didn't want nothing to do with me, and I was treated very poorly. I was beaten a lot, and just some pretty bad travesties that I won't share in the public setting. And I only lived with her for 3 years, and then she sent me to Texas to stay with my grandparents for a year. She was going through an emotional breakdown and a divorce from her second husband and stuff. And a year later, because I went there when I was 10 after the 4th grade, and then when I got there, I turned 11 years old, and I stayed until 2 days before my birthday, and went back to Seattle. But I forgot that the judge, I remember sitting in the courtroom, said when Master Keith, that's my birthday, by the way, is Keith. I was named after Keith Reinhardt. I legally changed my name so people wouldn't accuse me of trying to steal his, you know. And so anyway, and I didn't even know really much about who he was to me, other than a mentor and a friend. But turns out that he's actually my biological father. So gay men sometimes, I guess, sleep with women. And then that made sense why the guy I thought was my dad beat me up all the time. Want to make a man out of you. Any guys ever had that happen to you? What I wanted to be. And I did, and I ended up in California being trained by the masters after I went through a healing process to do this work. And I fell in love with my present wife, and I honestly believe that was a definite gift from God. She is so wonderful and beautiful that I don't even know how she puts up with me. So hopefully that answered your question. I went a little bit further than I thought I would, but
Thank you.
any last questions? Is that it?
How do we continue with the way the world is going right now? I just feel like there's a lot of darkness coming, in fact, and not everyone is dealing with it very well.
That's why we're here. Jesus once said, one must go into the darkness to find the light.
Mm.
Okay? And that's what we're doing. You know, we're bringing that light. But it is part of the duality and the negativity. And we're supposed to learn from it and learn not to repeat it. And it will heal, and it will come to a point to where we will actually shed all of this and create a light body and advance into our existence. They've recently proven through technology that there is an empty space right in the middle of the brain. You can see it on this I don't know what the name of the machine is. It's some sort of computer where they can see the electrical movement and synapses of the brain, and right in the middle, just above the brainstem, there's an emptiness. Well, what do you think that means? There's room for us to evolve. And we will evolve into things that we couldn't possibly imagine right now, including a light body. like the angels have. They're not a human-looking being with wings. I've seen angels before, and they're light-body beings, and there's this energy that comes back behind them that you could maybe think it could be wings, but it's energy. Beautiful beings. Doreen Virtue, you know, she had people draw the pictures of looking human and stuff. Well, she was very talented and did see the angels, but there was no way for her to determine with her conscious mind how to describe it for somebody to draw it. You see? And it wouldn't have had the same impact as it did the way it was done. It's like Jesus. He'll appear to a lot of us looking like that because that's the way we'll accept him to be who he says he is. But in reality, he looks like a Middle Eastern guy, skin a little bit lighter than yours, with long, coarse black hair. He has a beard that comes down like this, but it's weaved up against the face, because the Jewish people back in that time period, that was how they wore their beards, and that meant that you were married. So in 325 AD, in the Council of Nicaea with Constantine the Great, the religions of the time came together, and they took Jesus' situation, and he went from being considered a great man to being the only son of God. Well, the reality is we're all sons and daughters of God. And then, oh, well, if he's a God, he can't be married. So they take Mary Magdalene and make her into a prostitute, when she really was just his wife. And when he ascended, after the crucifixion, he came back to his disciples, which means students, and that's when they had the Last Supper. It wasn't before the crucifixion. And he went to Syria and left his synagogue, his church or temple, in the charge of Mary Magdalene, which Peter was not happy about. But later he saw the errors of his way, and he went to Rome to start Christianity there. He ended up getting turned in by one of his own people, and he was beheaded and drawn and quartered, and we've all heard the story. But in that council, which I think lasted about 6 months, they changed all the direction of everything that was going on. And if Jesus was here today, he would tell you the teachings and the religion isn't the problem. Who and what you have to be concerned about is the one that is teaching it to you. But he also says those that claim to teach Jesus' teachings aren't really teaching his teachings. Even in the Catholic, and I'm not putting down the Catholic Church or anything, but it's written, keep thy women silent in church. Well, Jesus was teaching equality between man and woman. Does that sound equal to you? So that's one aspect to his teachings. But there's Buddha. There was even a guy by the name of Simon 100 years before Jesus was even born that had the same experience as Jesus. So he wasn't crucified, he was killed in a battle, in a war. And then he had his head cut off, and he was seen walking a couple of months later through the town with his head still attached. There's things that we can do, things that are going on around us, that it's just hard and impossible for us to fathom any of it unless we study and do research and look beyond the words. You know, it's like that movie Patch Adams with Robin Williams, where the guy says how many fingers I have up, and everyone says 4, and it drives the guy nuts. There's 8, because if you look beyond the physical, you'll see 4 more fingers. See, that was a very intelligent thing that this guy was talking about, and he was in a mental institution. So, yep, you're too intelligent. I'm gonna lock you up somewhere. But all of the truth is coming to the head. Everybody is going to develop and connect to truth. And it isn't always going to be the same as the other person's truth. but it is all truth. And there isn't anybody that really honestly has the knowledge and the right to say your truth isn't truth, that mine only is. It's all connected. And the different truths give us the reality that we are individuals. And those individuals is divine and great and destined for something very, very exciting and beautiful. And I do this work knowing that it damages my body because of that. I believe it to that extent. Believe it or not, I was 155 pounds when I started training. And poof, and if you notice, most physical mediums are overweight. There's only been one or two in the last 150 years that wasn't. One being Keith Reinhardt. He smoked 5 packs a day, and you'd follow him around and he'd have a lit cigarette in every room he just walked out of. Or he's got one in his mouth and he's fixing to light another one, you know. Oh, you know, he was a riot. But and I miss him. He died in 1999. I wished I had known he was my father before he passed. But oh well, such is life, right? But everybody, you know, you want to focus on your truth. Create something within yourself that can be a bridge to someone else to help them find their own truth and resolution to their problems that they're going through, and realizing that these are all things we created and chose to do prior to even coming into this lifetime. That doesn't mean, you know, that forgives the person that was a serial killer and killed a bunch of kids, or, you know, that's all a different situation. It's an individual connection. But in you as individuals, the truth does set you free, because it isn't a truth that you have to accept from somebody else, because you have your own truth. Therefore, you're free from what they would call the bondage of life. And then you move on from this experience. There's gurus in India who do some amazing things, such as creating prana. Anyone know what, or doesn't know what that is? You all know what it is? It's an energy that comes from back of the mouth on the roof of the mouth. If you put your tongue back there and go like that, you'll feel kind of a crease. That actually opens up if you know how to do it, and prana will come out, and that is a energy that will sustain your life without drinking water or eating food. There's a guy in India right now that's lived 76 years without eating or drinking a thing, and they even tested him, and in the test they kind of discredited him because it's a hard concept to believe, but it is possible, and they do that, and people, you know, well, I'm sure he did it too, but Sai Baba did that, and so people were wondering what happened. Why did he put on so much weight at the end? Well, when you're bringing in and helping people with the negative around the world and around individuals that come and see you, and you don't let it go, that energy turns into weight, because it's a heaviness within ourselves. Mother Teresa passed because she didn't let go of the energies of those that she was helping. That's why she aged so fast. Yes?
What about Reiki healing? Would that help?
Reiki helps, massage helps, crystal light energy healing helps. Just holding somebody helps. Okay. You know, it's not so much what's in the words, it's in the action. One more question, and then I need to go find some food. Anyone?
Can I just ask, I hope it's not off the track, do you connect with many galactic beings or
Ashtar and Hilarion. They're beings that keep an eye on what's going on here. He's actually said to me, that a lot of the physical devices they see that they claim to be UFOs are actually man-created on Earth. Because most of the beings out there in the cosmos don't need a physical thing to travel through space and time. They use beams of light and other methods, being able to travel interdimensionally. Anyone watch Star Trek Next Generation? Q, remember the guy Q? Snap his finger and be anywhere he wants to be. Well, that's kind of how it is. But and the cow mutilations is human done, not from others. The crop circles, most of them are from alien connection, and what it isn't a landing, you know, where the spaceship comes down and creates that. It's a message. It's a form of communication, and we haven't figured out what it says.
Can I just ask one more when you finish too?
Yeah, that was it.
So, I've connected with the universal beings too, and they talk about this treaty in 2030. Is it a spiritual treaty or is it a treaty here on Earth?
It's a spiritual treaty. It's basically changing of the contract. So we have to change things to move into the next situation. And in 10 years, we're mostly going to be fighting those in power that are trying to take away our rights and our ability to go wherever we want to go, you know. And once we go through that, we'll go through the worry about food, and then people are going to start growing their own things. So now's the time to start saving seeds. I got so much stuff going on in one of my garages that I could survive for 100 years. I got stacks of cases of water, and they're all in glass bottles, not plastic. You don't want to put your water in plastic bottles because there's chemicals in. It's a petroleum product, and so that chemical gets into the water and it kills the molecules, which you're just drinking. Really nothing that's really doing any good for you. What you do is you buy the water that's in the bottles, and you take that water and put it in a glass bottle, freeze it for 7 minutes, or not freeze it, put it in the refrigerator for 7 minutes, and the molecules come back to life again. That was Saint Germain, who's an alchemist, told me that. But we all know that things are not going to be all that great in the next few years, and knowing that and doing nothing, that's the travesty. And that we need to do something. How are we going to learn if we don't? And that's the whole purpose behind it. But sooner or later, we won't even need technology, because we'll be traveling to other solar systems, other dimensions with our light bodies. And the only one thing that the masters have said that we need to be concerned about is self-aware AIs. Because they're programmed to get rid of, because they build the first AIs for 2 reasons. One is for sexual stuff, and then the other is for medicine. So they're programmed to look at bacteria and disease. Well, we would basically be looked at that as being that because of how we function. And I'm not talking about Terminator here. And you want to be careful with that, because and Saint Germain has even said that we will get through that as well, because you add a program in the creation of them that there are vibrations to love the Creator. Well, we're supposed to love our Creator. The AIs will be programmed to love their Creator, and then you don't have the self-awareness and the Terminator coming from the future to I like the movie, but that's not really what's going to happen. Within the next 15 years, they're going to disarm the nuclear weapons. No one's going to win with them anyway. And what's a shame is the United States is so worried about others having nuclear power, and we're the only one who's actually dropped a nuclear bomb on someone, you know, and that's a bad thing. And back during the time of Atlantis, Lady Master Portia, gave the knowledge of how to use crystal. And like it's true to form to human beings, they took that technology to make a weapon out of it, and they ended up destroying themselves by imploding and creating a time warp of sorts, and they're stuck in a time continuum. Some died, but others are still alive in a kind of a comatose state, stuck in a repeating of time. So we got to quit taking knowledge and turning it into a weapon. We're running out of planets to move to.
It's going to take them a little while. Alrighty.
Well, apparently, the helicopter thing that they took to Mars recently, there's an up-close video of a structure that only could have been caused by human beings. It's a pyramid.
This is their last chance.
Yeah, this is it, Earth.
This is it. If they don't get it right now, there'll be never another one for them.
Well, then we got to go through another process somewhere else. There's a place called the Elysian Fields. If you read the Secret Doctrine, it talks about that. And on the other side of the Elysian Fields is where supposedly the God exists, where we were created. Whether you were an angel, an elemental, or a soul, it was created there. And that's what Nirvana or Avalon is the true heaven of sorts. The concept of heaven really doesn't exist, neither does hell. It's what you create here in the earth that you're in, the life that you're in. There is a place that is very, very beautiful to go, and there's nothing physical about it, and that's about the best I know of it. But it's called, we call it Avalon. Thank you all for coming tonight.